Let's go to the next speaker here. So we have the young teacher from Kannamaly going to talk to us about the going beyond textbooks. It's an art by itself. We don't have to deliberately do it, but quietly, silently, you take children out of the book and then you bring them back to the book. In fact, I also should always feel introduction of any topic, any subject, any content should start with beyond textbook. Then come into the framework of the book, because they have to write some exams and all of that. How you can excite, how you give the stimuli to the children to get the attention of children, the secret lies in going beyond textbooks. That's what I would say. A successful teacher knows how to bring children from outside the book to inside the book. The journey, how it does, it all depends. And here Ishwarya is going to reveal that kind of a dialogue with us. Meena ma'am, kindly introduce Ishwarya and we'll...
Yeah. Hari Om. In this opportunity to introduce Ishwarya, who's going to be taking us beyond textbooks. She is, as Shanti ma'am said, a young teacher, but an experienced teacher at her school. She has over 11 years of rich experience in delivering optimal results and business value in high growth environments. She has been a biology teacher. She continues to be also a biology teacher from class 8 to 12 at Vidya Kannamaly, which is right now called West Kochi also. Accomplishing the overall responsibility of a devoted educator, she's been covering professional development while assessing students and conducting staff meetings for their development. She's been part of conducting various national seminars, conferences, serving as a reviewer for many national and international journals and proceedings. She's been developing a learning culture at the school and an ethos, providing educational vision and direction, ensuring effective teaching and successful learning and achievement by students. And as a PGT in biology, she has developed and delivered engaging lesson plans to high school students covering various topics such as cellular biology, genetics, ecology, etc. She has participated in professional development opportunities. She's contributed in school-wide initiatives. She's also been a guest lecturer at the Department of Botany at the Cochin College at Cochin. She's delivered engaging lectures and facilitated discussions in various places, implemented innovative teaching methodologies in school and motivated others in school to do so. She's provided mentorship and guidance to students to support their academic growth and development, collaborated with the colleagues to organize and participate in academic events and activities, attended plenty of workshops, starting from the Master Trainer workshop that has been conducted by the Chinmaya Education Cell. She's a Master Trainer herself who has accompanied us, helped us to reach out to more people in different states of India. She's contributed to knowledge exchange in in an Avila College. She's expanded knowledge in food safety through participation in UGC-sponsored national seminar, and she's participated in national level seminars at Karpagam College in Coimbatore. So over to you, Ishwarya ma'am, to take everybody through how to handle classrooms beyond textbooks.
Thank you, Meena ma'am. Hari Om, humble pranams to Swamiji, Shanti Amma, Rajeshwari Amma, and Meena ma. First of all, I thank all the good souls who have given me the opportunity. And before we start, I just want to start with an activity. I want all of your active participation. I know it is Saturday, a second Saturday, but still, I'll make sure that the session is not going to be one which is something to regret. So we'll start with the activity. The activity is very simple. One minute, let me share my screen. Yeah. So can you see a box, all of you? A treasure box? Yes. So there is something inside the treasure box. So before unveiling that, I want all of you to join along with me and hold your breath for 30 seconds. Can we start? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, stop. Those who can't hold it anymore, please raise your hands in the chat box. Come on, teachers. So I can see healthy lungs. Okay, so we'll stop. I'm very happy that all our teachers have very good lungs. You can hold your breath for 30 seconds. Thank you, teachers. So when we hold our breath, we find some difficulty. Anyhow, it's a forceful action, right? And if I'm going to exceed this action for more than a minute, we start suffocating. Do you agree, teachers? Can you please respond in the chat box, a thumbs up or something? So that I feel that I have people around me. Yeah, thank you, teachers. So the point is, if we cannot for more than 1 minute, this breathing is a problem. Yes, without breathing is a problem for more than 1 minute. So you have to imagine what happens if we cut the trees. So the box is unveiled, and this is what is inside the box. Is the box visible? Is the content visible? Yeah. So like how we have lungs, the lungs of earth is forest. So if we are going to cut the forest, what we experienced will be the experience of earth. And earth is not a separate entity, it is us. So this is one example where you can make your children experience and understand what happens if the trees are cut. So this is a link or a hint to my topic, beyond textbooks. Rather than taking the forest lesson, it is in class 7, taking the forest lesson and telling them how many forests are there in India, what are the types of forest, what are the animals present there, and giving them some visuals. More than that, we can have activities where children really understands why forest should be preserved, why deforestation is not a good practice. So moving on to my topic. So it is learning outside text. So I'm going to take this as 3 things. What is outside textbook learning? Why is it important? And how can it be done? So I'll be more pondering on what and why. So we'll start with this. First of all, how many of you agree that EQ is more important than IQ? At least after the beautiful session of Sir Mishtama and what Shanti Amma said, what is more important now? Is it EQ or IQ? Check the chat box. Yeah, of course it is EQ, because we know how the present generation takes up life. So EQ development is more important than IQ. But we have to think about their futuristic plans. So this is the best way. Learning outside text is the best way where you can take EQ and IQ in hand. So how is it possible? So for that, outside textbook learning can be done in 2 ways. First one is the textbook, the books other than the textbook, like children reading newspapers, magazines, journals, and even e-text can help them to extend their knowledge. And that is what NEP or even our value-based education stresses on. And the other way is to go beyond the books or the printed contents and experience the situations in our life, getting scenarios, getting into environments where they experience what they are learning. So I prefer the second one, where real life experiences can be used as a tool for studying. So I can compare real life experiences as vaccines. When children study from real life experiences, it is like vaccines. I hope all of you know how vaccine works. So vaccine is nothing but the microorganism which is causing the disease. For example, a polio vaccine has the polio virus in it, but in a very small dose, which is not going to harm the person who is administered. So what happens there? This small dose gets inside the body and makes the body prepared for the situation, if at all they encounter the polio virus. Same is the experience of learning from real life experiences. So we are going to give children in the school where a scenario where they can experience the real life situations, but in a way that is not harming them, but still they can understand their effects and after effects. Now, before going on to the session, I want some of you to come up with the areas where we find it very difficult to encode real life examples. A subject or a topic where it is very difficult to quote real life examples, where we say it is not possible. Anybody? Or is there areas where we cannot link the topic with real life examples? Can I get a no at least? If you don't agree, if you say that every topic, every subject can be taught with real life examples, can you please give a thumbs up? Yes, please, teachers. Yeah. Thank you. So it is true that every subject, every topic can be taught with real life examples. First of all, we have to know what happens when the child studies with real life examples. What happens to the child's brain, or how is that study or learning process taken in by the child? For that, we have to go a little more depth inside the neurological differences or changes which happens in the child's brain. So we'll start with the basic 4 things, which I have it on the screen: residual memory, eustress, neuroplasticity, and dopamine release. So these are the key points which happens inside the brain of a child when the child learns with real life experiences. So we'll start with procedural memory. Procedural memory is where a child or even us do something with not conscious. We do it just like that because we practice it. For example, when we travel from the school to our home back in a 2-wheeler or a 4-wheeler, we drive it. I think all of you would have experienced, we'll be thinking of something, and within a minute or within some time, we reach our home without our knowledge. That is procedural memory, which is present in our brain, where you do something in a regular basis, it comes as a procedural memory in our brain. So this can be a practice for the children. For example, as the previous speaker mentioned, the chanting or the mantras or whatever we tell them to do every day, we have to just tell them why we are doing it. So that becomes a procedural memory for them. And after some time, even without our reinforcement, they do that. Second one is eustress. Eustress means positive stress. So we all know we are human beings with survival instincts. When we get some situations where we have to overcome it, our brain works for that. So that's called eustress. So we have to always put children into a stress which is positive so that they can take up that as a positive note and learn from it. Neuroplasticity. Real life examples always are a very good tool for neuroplasticity. For example, there is a topic which is taught to the child through text, and we are giving an activity related to that topic. What happens is the child does the activity, and while during that process, the child understands the real impact of that particular topic or the fact. Neuroplasticity is where our own brain reforms or reconnects the previous information and tops it up with a new information which is based on experiences. And the last one, the favorite one of mine, dopamine release. When we give children an activity which they like, this dopamine is released. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It is a hormone which is transferred through the neurons, which helps them to work more energetically. For example, giving a data collection or asking them to study a graph or a statistical data, instead of giving them some random names, we can ask them to get the data or the experiences of their own sports stars, Ronaldo, Messi, or Kohli, the names which the instant where they hear the name, this dopamine secretes. Yes or no? So rather than giving random names, if we can give them names which are more familiar for them, which they like the most, that releases the dopamine and that helps them to register that for a long time. So these are main 4 things. Other than that, we have so many things which happens in our brain because of real life experience teaching. For example, the hippocampus is the one where we store the long-term memory. So this hippocampus has a lot of neural connections when this particular topic is taught with real life experiences. And the next one is brains, which is the amygdala. Amygdala is always a very interesting topic where this is related with emotions. So when we do some activity or when we learn a concept with real life experiences, which they enjoy, that becomes emotionally connected. When they get emotionally connected, there is an area in our brain called amygdala, which stores all these messages. And that becomes more concrete than storing it in a normal. And the next one is the strengthening of areas like prefrontal cortex, where the judgments and the assessments are done. So when we give them real life experiences and ask them to learn, what happens is, rather than taking the information from the other parts of the brain, they collect the information and that helps them to have good judgments. They become good problem solvers and they become good critical thinkers. And the next one is learning from real life experiences, as I said, can stimulate neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to recognize itself by forming new neural connections. And there are some data which I can give you to prove that this particular way of teaching real life experiences is helpful. So there is a study which was conducted by National Center of Biotechnology Information, where it is said that 50% more engagement is experienced in children when they are taught subjects with real life experiences or activity-based learning, especially in subjects like science and math. And there is one more research which was done by International Society of Technology in Education, where they also had the almost same result, where they say that 40% more involvement is found when children are given technology-based or the activities like role play and field trips are carried out. So these are other data which will prove that experience learning or learning from activity helps the better learning of children. 20 to 30% of higher retention rates in children, 20 to 30% of academic performance in exams. This is what Shantiamma said. When we give them what they need, academic performance comes along with it. And we don't have to worry about the IQ. When EQ is strong, I strongly believe that IQ can come along with that. And that is what is the base of our Chinmaya Vision program. 50% increase in the student engagement when it is activity-based environment, and 40% better long-term retention in subjects like science and math. That is, there are 2 types of memory in our brain, that is short-term memory and long-term memory, where this particular way of teaching will help to store the information in long-term memory. So these are some suggested areas where you can use or we can use the platforms to make the learning process more as real life experiences. So I'd like to suggest some examples with small examples which we follow in our schools, which you can also give me some examples as a activity. So first I'll start with math, where math can be, for example, angles. When we talk about angles in smaller classes or the fractions in smaller classes, we can ask these children to bring some cookery items, and we can ask them to weigh them in proportions and ask them to, for example, it is 3 spoons of carrot 2 spoons of cucumber. So we'll ask how many spoons are there in total. It is 3. So out of which how much is 3 and how much is 2. So that is 2 by 3 and 3 by 4. All those things can be taught with fireless cooking. And of course, science itself is something which we experience every day. So it can be and should be taught with real life examples. Even social science, as we saw field trips, taking them to historical walk, can all help them to learn that particular thing in a better way rather than learning it in textbooks. And mainly, as Shanti Amma stressed, assessments should be based on real life experiences. Like we can assess them rather than assessing them with the pen paper assessment. We can use lots of tools like peer assessments, self assessments, discussions, observations, where it involves more of life skills than their rote learning or the IQ level alone. So end of the day, it's our turn to engage leaders, learners to identify the subject from everyday examples. When we teach something and they go home, they can identify how it is implemented in the daily life, and that can be a recalling session for the next day's class. If something is taught, we'll ask them to find some real life connections, and when they come back next day, it can be asked as a recalling session. So there are so many activities which we can come up with where children will focus on the subject without their knowledge. So this is all about why it is very, very important and how it can be done. If there is any questions, please. Thank you so much. The voice,
Thank you, Ishwarya. I think we have to thank you in spite of your troubling voice. You have taken the trouble, and it was a very, very, very fruitful session. You did a wonderful job. A biology teacher, she brought all the brain aspects into it, and we can really, really connect very, very well. Can you stop sharing? Actually, it's very interesting to see. Whatever we learn in school, the values and given, the ethics is given, what Sharmishta ma'am said, it's all for what? We want children to take the right decisions. Right thinking will lead to right decisions. And when they take right decisions in life, they will have a healthy and a successful life. Do you agree with me? It's all about that. It's not about earning money, or they can ruin themselves by earning money and not having the right decisions in life. They get into wrong habits and wrong things, he will ruin. So when you're talking about right decisions, whatever Ishwarya mentioned is so very beautiful. And I feel that all schools should sit together and plan in such a way every topic when I teach, whether it is English or science or math or your different languages, plan what knowledge can be given, how I can introduce it with outside knowledge, with a beyond textbook, real life situation, connect it with them, and then it becomes. The frontal lobe really becomes active when you're connecting them with something which is not in the textbook definitions and all of that. So when they discover, even calculating a perimeter, they discover, given a bangle can be given to measure it with a thread, and then they discover the formula, perimeter is 2 pi r for a circle. It stays with the child. That's what we are talking about that. Otherwise, whatever we are teaching, high topics like bonding, chemical bonding, and atomic structure and integration in mathematics, everything is teaching. Well, the child is left behind because he is not able to connect with what you are teaching. You are leaving behind the child. You are finishing syllabus is what is happening. That can never become a value to the child. So we got to think about this, how to make the frontal lobe really active, which will help them in take decisions. So very beautifully, she brought about that the hormone. You see, the hormones get, when they discover something, when there is joy in doing something, these hormones really make them feel good factor comes to the child. Feel full factor, you have done success. Your teaching has been successful. So we don't have to teach everything. See, online teaching is there for children to learn content of the syllabus. You tell me how many online courses are there, but who is going to expose them to real life examples? This is what that is for. I would like to add one more thing to what Ishwarya said. Activity teaching, all of this is really, really good to make the brain active, come out with creativity, creative, innovative. But one very important thing is also needed is to child should reflect upon whatever is learned. If you allow the child to reflect, dwell in whatever is learned in them, then, then only it becomes a the right decision taking will happen. Otherwise, they get excited. Sometimes activities excite children. They really get excited. They're doing activity, entertainment. It becomes an entertainment and not a real learning. You think about it. If they quietly sit down and think, whatever I learned, oh, this is what is happening. This is what is energy conservation about. So it connects with them. They have to quieten and then think about, because that is what is the Indian system of knowledge. Indian system of knowledge is about reflective learning, intuitive learning. See, they sat down, meditated, and made lakhs and lakhs of poems and things. Vedic mathematics is all came out of introspection within oneself. So you can combine it with that, taking beyond that, and then connect it with the chapter. After the chapter is done, make activities, introduce lifetime experiences, take up their own hands-on, doing research, everything is good. And then give them some time, your own reflection of the whole thing. What do you think about it? Then they will come out with, say, yeah, this can be utilized in this today's situation. They will be able to get that value. Does it make sense? How many of you think it makes sense? You want to add anything? Anybody want to add anything? You can add about it.
Ma'am, I'll add one more thing which I left actually. We have a very good mantra in our Chinmaya Vidyalaya, knowing, feeling, and doing.
Yeah.
That actually says
Yeah,
everything.
it is not Chinmaya Vidyalaya alone, Ishwarya. It is all over the world. All over the world, lesson plans are written in the basis of ASK model, ASK. And A is first, most important is the attitude, the emotional quotient you mentioned. They say don't worry about the content. S is skills next. K is only the knowledge part. Content. The content, anyway, they will learn it. They'll read it and learn. They'll go online and learn, or they'll go to the tuition teacher and learn. Content is given least priority everywhere, all around the world. ASK model is a plan for lesson plan that we call it as cognitive skill, cognitive domain, affective domain, psychomotor domain, or knowing, feeling, doing, or attitude, skill, knowledge. It's there. It's not just the Chinmaya way. It is everywhere they are doing. We are emphasizing on it. Our lesson plans, we are talking about knowing, feeling, doing. But even I feel now it should be made as feeling, doing, and knowing. I think, because whatever it is done, one very important constraint in whatever, we are all talking a lot of wonderful things in these forums. What is it that's stopping us from doing anything? Think about it. Syllabus. People want to finish syllabus. People want to complete syllabus. So the content is the giant size in our minds. We got to take it out. We just got to take it out and make the attitude as the giant size, making the emotional quotient as the giant size. They will learn it anyway. You have to experiment it. We do a lot of experiments in Chinmaya International Residential School where they do very well. The focus is mainly on the aspects of attitude. Set the right attitude. Everything he will sail through. He will sail through it. Anybody, one person can speak, then we can go on to the next speaker. But it was really a brilliant session. I really loved the session.
Thank you so much.
Hariyo, Mama.
Yeah. Yes.
Smrutila, Chinmaya Vidyalaya, Kollangodu.
Yeah.
So actually, a wonderful session, Aishwarya ji. Thoroughly enjoyed, and right in front of you was the CVP chart while you were talking, and I was able to link many of the things you spoke with the emotional expansion, handling emotion, and aesthetics of the CVP. And I was just remembering about one activity we did for our KG children, and I think all what you have said, it's very good for subject interlinkage also. When you take things to the outer world or beyond the textbook, it is very easy for us to connect subjects together. So that what we have done in our KG by a samba making activity, Amma. So children actually made a samba with the teachers in the class, and what we taught them: color, size, shape, weight, and vitamin values of each vegetable. And after cooking, they tasted it, they shared it with grade 1 and 2 as well. So that was like a very nice activity. We enjoyed, and the children also enjoyed it. So
yeah,
I think
there's only one risk in all activities. I personally feel this. I wouldn't say activities are very important for engaging all their senses. The eyes to see, they do with the hands, and then they do a lot of attract all the sense organs. So understanding gets really, really good. But whether the analytical skills are getting better can happen only through reflections. Children need to do a lot of reflection. Otherwise, they enjoy entertainment. Videos shown in the smart boards, they all love the classes. They'll say, ma'am, show the video class. Smart board class, ma'am. They will say they want it because they love it. But it should not be a treat to the sense organs alone. It should go internalize. That's also very, very important. Let them write reflections on what they learn. Let them, if they go for a tour, they should write a reflection. How I learned, what I learned from this, seeing this movie, what I learned. Anything that they do, they have to, what is my takeaway from this? Let them commit themselves for some takeaways from the classrooms. I think the Aurobindo schools and all of that, after one period, they give 5 minutes quieten down. What you learned, you think about it. Otherwise, whole class will enjoy. It's not just for entertainment. They should become wiser. Wisdom should come to them by learning.